On here. Hey. It's 28 millimeter RPG with Shauner. Shauner's got fans going on in the background. He's got the industrial kind of look.
You hear the fans?
I can just hear them kind of going. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me go out and come back in again. I'll turn that off, and hopefully I won't sound robot-y when I return. Unless I can do that now. Let's see. Go into here. Go to microphone. Turn on the... Turn that on. Turn that on. Yeah, I got my heater on because it's freezing cold. And the weather we had yesterday is now causing tornadoes.
Freezing.
East, just like I thought.
What is freezing cold to you over there?
Oh, I'm from California, so the freezing cold is 55 degrees. So it gets down to like 60 something in my studio.
That would be so nice right now.
Okay, so I'm going to change my microphone to NVIDIA.
Oh, there we go. That's beautiful. Perfect.
All of a sudden, what?
I noticed a big difference.
Hopefully I won't sound robotic or cracky in the video.
But it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, we're live now. We're live now anyway, so. But it's all good. We're just watching Abe here from Talking About Games. And he's going to talk to us about the balance between game and roleplay and tabletop roleplaying games. So we will check this out together. You were saying you were going to do a video on this, but you ended up getting kind of circumvented with your Skyrim.
Yeah, I was doing Skyrim videos.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to do Skyrim in VR videos. Maybe in the future. We'll see what happens. So let's listen to see what Abe has to say here.
Hi. This time I wanted to talk about the balance that exists between the game and the roleplay aspect of a tabletop role-playing game. I personally think that when you achieve that sweet spot, you have so much fun and immersion at the same time. That's my whole reason for playing tabletop role-playing games, trying to achieve that balance.
Is that your goal as far as for you? You want to achieve the balance? You want to be zen, be one with the with the mechanics.
You know how they have the blind justice lady and she's got the 2 scale things?
Yes.
They go like this. What if she has 3 scales? What if she has 4 of them?
Oh.
And you're trying to balance 4 of those things. One's got gold, one has silver, one has copper, one has zinc, whatever.
You're blowing my mind, Shauner.
How do you balance 4 things? Because someone in his comments mentioned, well, the GM's one of the things too, not just rolling dice and role playing, but the GM has a say. So that's 3 things.
Yeah, it's a whole conglomeration of different things happening at once. But what do you find is a thing that you are trying to get out of the role playing game?
Okay, I'm trying to get 85% role play, and the rest is die mechanics.
Okay.
And die mechanics that don't remove some of the role play, like
you want it to be a nice smooth transition from the being in character to doing the thing, doing the action thing, and having the result.
Yeah, like the players don't say, I kick open the door and start shooting everyone dead I see. No, that's you would say something like, I approach the door and try to open it. That's it. Then you roll to see if you even open the door or not. Or the referee or GM says, okay, the door's not locked.
Exactly.
It
I've
opens.
had to go over with my players every once in a while and say, yeah, it's basically just explain one action at a time. I know you have like you want to do this, this, and this, and this, but you only have I want to do one action at a time, just so open the door first. That's the first
Did
thing.
you watch the Blade Runner game today, part 2?
No, I did not.
What's that one called? Me, Myself, and Die.
Yes.
They've got part 2 out.
Cool.
And the GM's really good at stopping one of the players from saying, I want to do this, and then do this, and do this. And
Yeah.
he's like, hold that thought. We're going to deal with the first thing you said there.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did that. I did that to one of my players on the live stream as well. And said, yes, let's start with this, and then we continued on from there. Because you never know what's gonna happen. Because as the GM, you know what's behind the door. You know the setup, and the first thing could be the player grabs the door and gets electrocuted because they had set up a trap on the other side. Put a couple of electrical cords on there. They knew they were coming. Yeah.
Or if the player says something like, I'm going to hack into the computer and find out something.
Yeah.
Really? It's like, that's too much info there. How do they know what they're going to find out? Maybe they're going to, I sit down in front of the computer and attempt to log into the thing. They can say that much.
Yep. Yeah.
Or I attempt to access some files. I'm searching for any files on this computer. Attempt to. Then you roll to see if you find some files.
But the mechanics, is very important. It's important to me because that's what I gravitate towards. Is something. It's got to be a simplistic resolution system. I don't care how much fluff there is for the players, like for the players to make a character and all that other stuff. Traveler has like pages and pages and pages of different things that you can get into as far as a character, and that's the major thickness of your book there, where the actual rules themselves, the mechanics, is
like 8 pages.
Very, very easy, very simple, and that's also why I like the cipher system as well. Same sort of thing. It's very few pages of the actual rules. The rest of it is just all bulk for the players in order for them to make the thing that they want to make. So.
Yeah, I like the Mongoose Traveler 2nd edition because it's a simple die roll, but the results from the die roll are spread out, so you got a range of results to deal with.
It's
just a simple thing. Just the player just tells me if they succeed, critical success or marginal failure. That's all I want to hear is the result. And then we narrate from there.
And I understand, your want for that bell curve too, because of the results is kind of heaved in the middle there between the 6, 7, and 8, basically in that kind of area.
Like in a cinematic movie, how often do you see a hero running down the hallway or chasing after a car and he slips and falls?
Yeah, exactly.
Or his shoe comes off.
You want to have,
or he drops a gun.
You want to minimize those possibilities.
A D20 system. You roll a D20 and Gonzo stuff happens. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's true. It's a different way of the percentages.
I don't even know what that's called. What is that called? The middle part. It's not the average. It's the mean or the median. Anyway, there's a name for it. Some mean of distribution, something. Anyway, you want that in your games. That way, there's at least some chance of normalcy happening.
It keeps the reality in there. It's not exactly not so gonzo where I mean you could roll a 1 at any time.
Yeah, I'm in perfect health. I have the perfect stats, and I rolled a 1. Not nonsense like that. I have just the same chance of rolling a 20 as I do rolling a 1 for some reason. I'm playing baseball. I'm trying to just hit the stupid ball. An average hit. There's a name for that in baseball, I bet, where you can just do your hit. And And D&D has their 2-hit. Classic Traveler has their 2-hit roll. Those are nonsense mechanics. Don't use those.
All right.
It's like, I plainly hit you. I hit you in plain sight. No, you didn't. You hit my suit. You didn't hit me. You hit my suit.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude.
That's another thing I like about Traveler is you are rolling to hit the character. You're not rolling to damage. You're rolling to hit the character. The damage is taken care of with that armor factor in there, which I like.
Yeah,
I wish like a D&D had that kind of thing in it, but it doesn't. So,
No,
the Cipher system has that.
You can't sell D20s if you do that with D&D.
It's true. The whole set of dice, all the dice. You want all the dice.
You buy the dice first, then you buy the D&D books. That's how it works.
I hid all my dice so I wouldn't go on
With
off
Traveler,
on a tangent.
With Traveler, you buy Traveler, and then you raid your older brother's Monopoly and Parcheesi games and stuff like that to get dice from. Yahtzee.
Women like Yahtzee. Let's continue.
There are certainly role-playing games that lean a bit more on the rules. Some others have a more free-form roleplay style. But because they are role-playing games, you still have the rules for a game and a way to roleplay that particular system within a setting. So I want to communicate how I think that the game aspect supports or enhances the roleplay aspect and vice versa. Let's start with the game, with the system, with the rules.
If you want me to stop it, just let me know.
Okay.
Sean.
No, you seem to stop it when he comes up with a point. So
Maybe you are playing
you're good.
a tabletop role-playing game with a somewhat crunchy or complex subsystem during a fight. Maybe it's one of those systems where you roll to determine where the injury lands. When you get hit or cut or whatever, you determine where the injury happens. If you're playing without...
I was, when I was young and stupid as well, I did look at a few systems that had that kind of barrage of different things. But when it came down to it, when I actually played the thing, it didn't work. It didn't work for me. The more simplistic system was the better way to go because it felt like it was more. You can get more done. You felt like the game was going, and you didn't. And I didn't feel like, it didn't feel like, a combat took like hours, that sort of thing.
Yeah, for me, it felt like, oh, this is simulating real life. I'm watching the bullet go through a vivisection of this guy's body, and I can path the bullet through his organs and see if it missed his lung or hit his heart or struck a bone, spinal cord.
Right.
As the bullet goes through his body, let's do this together. Get out the ruler. Anyway, you're dealing with X, Y, and Z stuff.
That sounded like Sniper Elite, the video game.
That was from the old Marl Project games.
I also play
Cringeworthy or Fringeworthy or something.
I play.
I called it Cringeworthy.
Call of the Hunter. And that's got the same sort of thing. You fire your gun. You can see where your bullet hit the critter. You can tell where once you catch up to the critter that you took down. You're able to see how your bullet went in, what happened, what it fractured, how much. Yeah, it was. But
Champions Second Edition had a splat book with those rules too.
It's cool for the first few times, and then after a while, I think it just kind of loses its charm. That's how I feel.
When I did solo RPG play in the early 80s, I would try out these rules and just, be up in the bedroom, supposed to be doing my calculus homework, but instead I'm doing roleplay mechanics to see if I like the game or not. And I would realize, oh, I spent 6 hours just trying to figure out how 6 hours in real time for only 3 minutes of game time.
I know, that's brutal. That's
And I
brutal.
thought, this needs to be on a computer. This can't be done by hand.
Yeah.
You won't see any actual plays of these games, by the way. They're just they're unplayable.
Yeah.
Such subsystems, you have more freedom when it comes to expressing or describing your character's actions or reactions. Maybe you are in the middle of a fight and the enemy hurt you pretty badly. So now you want to make a retreat, but it's difficult because your enemy is right there. You're going to get attacked at the moment where you start to back away. But
Yeah,
another member in the
part. My favorite part is when the enemy's right in your face. What do you do? And the player's like, and then I say, he grabs your head and he's trying to pull off the rest of your body. What do you do? You know, okay, one more of those and your character's dead. Roll a new character. I don't let the bad guy just stand in front of the player waiting for the player to decide what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
The guy's coming at you.
There's got to be a lot of, I think, in the way of tactics, whenever there's my NPCs are confronting the players. Of course, yeah. You know, I use the term NPCs because instead of just calling them my players. But the thing is, tactics has to be included. Like, they have to have a brain. They have their own goals. They want to live. They don't want to die. They don't want to get shot. You know, only the most foolish would be like standing right there. That sort of thing. I see a lot of games online. You know the ones I'm talking about, Sean, where they just got everybody lined up like a bowling pin. You know, all the monsters are lined up like a bowling pin.
Is that going to be a meme now? Everyone's been saying bowling pin the last 2 weeks now, bowling pin. I had to look it up to see what that was referenced to.
I started it in the role-playing section. That's
Bowling
me.
pins.
Bowling pins.
Okay. You started the meme.
So
I hope I'm not in a meme. I hope I'm not in anyone's meme.
Probably somebody's gonna meme us.
I don't use bowling pin formation in my game.
L's gonna make a meme on us. I'm sure of it.
Maybe Dragon Ball Z, did they use bowling pin analogy? Was it Foursquare for their combat scenes or what?
I'm not sure.
They seem to stand in certain squares.
Oh yeah, and they would power up. They would go do the 4 hours
the Power
later.
Rangers, they all sort of stood in a certain formation.
Well,
I like Mighty Orbots. They didn't have a formation. They just went together and made Mighty Orbot.
Well, the Ginyu Force in Dragon Ball Z had their own formations. They did the pose things whenever they presented them.
Oh,
I just yeah, you have to watch it because it's hilarious because they're pulling in all this kind of weird shit from different
I like
movies.
giant robot.
Yeah, the Ginyu Force when they're fighting on the planet Namek in Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Iron Giant?
Yes.
Okay. He doesn't do any frickin' formation fighting. He just blows things up.
Yeah.
From wherever he's standing. He doesn't do any dance maneuvers first before he shoots lasers from his eyeballs. He doesn't do any of that. The Japanese were weird. Mutations from the nukes.
So, if you were to role play like something like a Japanese kind of role playing game, where that was kind of
it would be
expect it?
It would be Pacific Rim. Who's the fat guy with the beard who does Hellboy movies and Pacific Rim movies? Who's that guy? Teldoro something? He's a Spaniard dude.
Oh yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
He makes the best Japanese movies.
Well, they do the synchronized movement. There's like two guys.
Oh
and
yeah, you're right. For fun and laughs and for shits and giggles, they did that one.
I didn't understand that at all. They have to synchronize their minds and stuff. It was just weird.
They're doing the Choi Li Fut School of Martial Dragon Fighting. So the robots were mimicking their
Yeah.
their stances. The Seven Samurai movie is a very good Japanese film.
Now, I actually haven't seen the actual Japanese one. The ones that I have seen is like the Magnificent Seven,
What?
and yeah, Magnificent Seven is
That
basically
was
the same
racially
thing.
appropriated.
It was
The my dad would always say this to me when I was a kid. You're watching Seven Samurai, you know. Gosh, thanks for ruining my immersion.
There's also what was it called? It was another
Hidden
version of it.
Fortress.
It was done by what's his name that did the As War. Kobayashi was his name.
Oh,
Makoto Kobayashi. He was a guy that used to do the Hobby Japan kind of models and stuff, and he would kit bash a whole bunch of crazy weird stuff. I did a video on
yeah.
Kobayashi.
If I saw a picture, I'd remember.
Yeah, and he did an actual movie, which was I think it was Samurai 7 was the name of it. But don't quote me. It's also featured on that little website that I had featured on my video. That was cool, and I've actually seen the video itself. So it was fairly interesting. It had some cool aspects to it, but it was just basically Seven Samurai once again. Let's get back. Yeah, let's get back to Abe here. We're flying off on tangents all the time.
Is he still alive, that guy?
No, actually, I think he's gone.
Because Clint Eastwood, he's still kicking. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Party, perhaps even a hireling, a henchman, comes to your rescue, and now that character is keeping the enemy occupied, so you can make your retreat and heal yourself or treat yourself in some way. If you, like I said, didn't determine where the blow lands, you can describe anything. I quickly run back upstairs as I hold
Here,
my
pause it,
injured
pause it.
ribs.
Hit points. Subtract 20 hit points from your character. Now describe what that feels like. That's why lately I've been saying that treat hit points as fatigue. When you get to 0, you pass out.
Are you like me, where your NPCs you don't tend to use hit points?
Oh, with NPCs, I use whatever. Okay, like in Traveler, their hit points are their 3 physical attributes added together. So
I very
let's
much
say if it's 777, for strength, dexterity, and endurance, then that's 21 hit points.
I very much
And I just track it in my head.
I use the what you were talking about, that kind of idea of if you were saying one time, if you have to hit a monster more than 4 times, it starts to get tedious and boring.
Yeah.
That I use any kind of henchman or kind of like a non-essential kind of mini minion, one hit. If
if I'm doing Willow, the movie Willow from the 80s, if I'm doing that with Traveler, then yeah, most of the guys are just minions. 3 or 4 hit points.
If it's somebody
you're on like a suspension bridge made of straw or whatever, and you're doing the Indiana Jones thing where you're threatening to cut the rope and everyone's going to swing into the cliff kind of thing. When they come running at you, you're just going. You don't have any. Your character might not even have skill with the stupid sword, the curved sword. Your character just has basic training in blade or something, and he's got the sword and he's just using it against baddies because he's the hero or cinematic or whatever. He's just knocking them like flies.
Right. And
but once he has his Gatling machine gun again, then he's like, he's just mowing down everything.
That's right. I also kind of assign hits to like higher up hirelings, that sort of stuff of the NPCs or more prominent characters. I keep in mind whenever there's like a critical, like if they roll super high, I consider that like multiple hits. So if they do something fantastic like that, I also add something like if it's a robot, the sensors, light,
Oh
the
yeah,
eye
yeah.
sensors go out on it, and it starts flailing around like a crazy, berserk
Oh yeah,
robot
yeah.
or something weird like that.
Yeah, the effect. If the effect is way up there, like critical success or something, or exceptional success.
But yeah, you want
Yeah,
to have
it's a yes and kind of a situation.
so that's how I as far as player characters
If
go, I still adhere to the rules of you're getting damaged and your attributes are going lower and lower as things are going on and you are getting into that kind of a almost like a death spiral.
yeah,
Where
in the old days, I used to use the old common classic traveler rules for making NPCs.
Mhm.
The player characters are using Mongoose Traveler to make their PCs, but then the last 4 years or so, I decided, you know what, I'll just make my NPCs using the Mongoose Traveler rules. That way, everyone's on the same playing field, and NPCs and player characters can die just as evenly. Just the attrition rolls where you got equal NPC against equal PC fighting,
right.
and you just roll back and forth. I think Sean Cherry was mentioning this today with me with Black Hack removes the die rolls from the GM. And I was trying to think, do I roll dice when I run a Traveler game? But I don't have much combat in my game, so I guess I would be rolling for my NPCs to see how much damage they do against the player characters when they're fighting the player characters.
Do you sometimes let your players roll for their buddy NPCs? They're on the same side?
Were there buddy
Yeah,
NPCs?
well, like they'll have like maybe fellow crew members which aren't being played by them, which are being played by you as the game master.
I don't know. If the players just get one character each, and then I get all the other stuff. So I'm probably going to be rolling dice for everything else in the game.
I sometimes let my players go ahead and roll. I'll say roll for this, roll for Jack. He's doing a thing,
Okay.
and then somebody rolls, so it gives them kind of like a oh cool okay roll. And, I think it helps them relate to the character, so they become part of that character in a sense, not in they know I'm
the
playing
NPC character?
I'm playing the NPC character. I'm playing Jack.
Okay.
Jack.
You're playing Jack,
Crazy man.
who's now being controlled by this player.
And no, he's not being. He's just rolling for Jack. Roll for Jack. He's attacking. He's taking his his wrench and he's whacking the critter over the head, kind of idea. So, and then I'll let the players go ahead and roll for that. Not all the time, but usually if it's an NPC
How does that work then? So who describes what the NPC got to do?
I describe what the NPC does. I just want the players to roll the die. So.
You just want them to roll dice. Okay.
That's right.
You're too lazy to hit the mouse button.
I know I am, but
Gosh, who has the dice now?
That's the way I
Who brought
roll.
dice to the
That's
table?
the way I roll, Shawner.
Like the banker in Monopoly. How boring is that? Assign someone to do all the die rolling at your game.
But I roll dice a lot, so I just once in a while I'll let the players roll for the NPCs that are part of their party.
4 dice at a time is the max for me. If a weapon does more than 4d6, what's your game about? What are you doing? What are you, Starship Troopers bombarding from space or what? You have nukes in your game?
I have nukes in my game. I have lots of nukes in my game.
I have nukes, but it's usually like that crazy guy from Abyss who brought a nuke to blow up the ocean aliens. And then that Ed Harris has to defuse it. And the lighting is so bad he can't tell which wire is the green one and which one's the blue one.
Well, that's part of the effect. Not even he knows what the blue one or the green one is. Maybe he's colorblind.
Wasn't there another crazy guy with the bomb in another sci-fi movie, like an Aliens movie or something? He's gonna blow up the things and
Oh
like,
well,
no.
no, that was they were going to nuke it from space. That was their idea.
Maybe that was it.
I have a nuke in my last game. They had discovered it in the encasement that was taking the drugs, and that had a thermonuclear device inside of it, which they discovered. Actually, Shadow discovered was part of that.
Yeah, since I do one shots, the game session never gets that escalated, I suppose.
Yeah.
There's the nuke. There might be a nuke, but whether or not the players come across it or not, it's pretty rare. But when I did run campaigns using GURPS, it was always, let's play Fallout 3 using GURPS. Oh, and there's nukes. So that was a common thing in my Fallout 3 games.
So everything blew up real fast.
Everything blew up. Everything was radioactive, skin peeling off. It was beneath the Planet of the Apes, RoboCop. Don't touch me, man. It was this is the instrument of my God. You know, that kind of guy. The guy from THX 1138, Pedro, what's his name? He gets gored by the gate. The gate has these spikes on it for some reason, and Charlton Heston kind of like pushes the gate over on the guy. Oh, it's pretty.
Remember that?
Their furniture, all the appliances and furniture in that movie were lethal.
Yeah,
it was very strange. But they would peel their faces off whenever they would pray to the bomb, and their faces were all like ghouls from Fallout 3.
That was pretty freaky for me when I first seen that. I was like, I was pretty young. You know, I was maybe 11,
yeah,
12?
I was 10, 9 or 10 when I saw that on television. And when I found out Earth was gone at the end, oh man, what a downer!
Where does the story go from now? What happens?
I didn't know what a franchise was yet when I was that young. I didn't know that there'd be sequelitis. Movies suffer from sequelitis.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising for me when the next one came. What was it? The next one was Escape from then Conquest, right?
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was Channel 5, Los Angeles Channel 5 or Channel 7 that was showing these things. And they said, next summer, you get to see the next whatever in the series. And they said, Escape from Planet. And I said to my mom, they come to Earth? And she's like, yep. Because she'd already seen the movies, I think, in the theater.
Yeah.
Before television was showing them. She was trying not to spoil things for me. It's like, is it worth watching? And she's like, you'll see. She would never tell me if a movie sucked or not. Like, God damn it.
That's possible.
But yeah, Escape from
But
Planet
if you
Apes.
made a roll and it turns out that the blow landed on your head, maybe the enemy was attacking you with a warhammer or a club or a mace or whatever, and the injury lands on your head, the blow lands on your head. So now this is a way to challenge yourself, how good you are at improvising that wound while role-playing. You could say something like, I run up the stairs while holding...
Stop. How many hit points do you have for skull fracture?
That's a hard thing. I would.
Do you get to call the body part when you swing? That's the one mechanic, is you get to choose what body part. And each body part has a difficulty of hitting.
If it was Traveler
in modern games.
Yeah, if it was Traveler, I would make if it was some sort of like wicked blow, I would do an endurance for sure. An endurance check to
I got that one D20 die or whatever it is, the D12 die that has body parts on it.
Yeah, I have one of those too.
I used to just roll that to see what body type they're hitting. I don't know.
Well, Traveler has a actual chart, but it's in the
I just have the
operations
core rule book.
operations manual.
Oh,
Whatever it was called.
Yeah, for second edition, I just have the core book. If it's not in the core book, we don't worry about it.
You're missing out. You're missing out, Shauner. You're missing out all these
I'm
extra
missing
rules.
out. Well, I don't use combat rounds, so I'm missing out already on a lot of things. Apparently.
All right.
Hit play.
Holding my head as I am screaming, ah, oh, to represent the
That reminds me of I still have to figure out what movie that was where these guys it was kind of a weird comedic kind of thing where the guy had a hammer in his hand and he's I think he was with another buddy of his and they were taking on this thug and he says hit him and the guy goes ahead and whacks him on the skull and the guy who goes ooh and starts doing the ooh kind of thing. It was just really awkward, It was just like, and the guys were like, "Oh my god!" I can't remember what movie it was, but I thought that was spectacular. That was one of the most hilarious.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, what movie was that? If anybody knows, say in the comments because I want to bring that up again.
I'm gonna say Billy Crystal was the guy swinging the hammer.
Maybe. Ah, man.
Throw Mama from the Train, one of those kind of movies.
Oh yeah, maybe. I'll have to.
Oh, it wasn't the '67 film. The producers.
I gotta write.
They made that Hitler. They made the Hitler play, and he's got his blankie. They take his blankie from him, and he's like, "My blankie, my blankie." Gene Wilder's character.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I
don't want to say Three Stooges, but it's a little.
It was a
tier. It's a tier level above Three Stooges humor. It was kind of wacky, zany. Oh, I know. It could have been Mad World.
That could have been it. I'll have to check that out.
Sid Caesar hitting someone with a hammer in the head, and Jonathan Winters, the big brute guy. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna tear him apart.
That's so
something like that.
That's so funny. He's such a big giant teddy bear kind of character guy, and it's funny.
pain. But maybe you got a nasty slash or cut across your arm. That's determined by the subsystem. You made a roll and the enemy hit your left arm. Now it's going to be very different. You could say something like, I run away or I back away up the stairs while holding my arm and yelling encouragement. Keep on fighting, men. Just let me patch myself up. I'll be back. Or something like that.
Here's pause. Do you let players narrate how bad they get injured? Or do you narrate how bad they get injured?
It depends on sometimes the guys want me to narrate stuff. So when I do my session 0, I say, okay, you want me to narrate all the if you do something cool, you want me to narrate it, or do you want me to just do bad things or whatever? And a lot of times, depending on who the players are, if it's someone like if it's like Josh, Josh is kind of a low key. He'll get into the character if he's by himself, kind of idea, but sometimes he's very, very shy. But
what do you mean, like he's the only player in the game session? You mean?
Well, when he we've had games like playing along here and stuff like that, but instead of being played on the internet like we do.
Oh, I see.
So
you mean like at a table?
Yeah, at a table. So sometimes, depending on the person, they may want you to, because they think you come up with all these cool ideas whenever something like that happens, or if it's somebody like maybe I would say like perhaps Shadow might want to illustrate his victories and stuff like that. He might want to do that. Everybody's kind of different, right? So
yeah, because in Traveler, you're subtracting points from the person's do you let the player choose if they get to lose strength first, or dexterity first, or endurance first? Or
Yeah,
do you let die rolls determine that?
I have a set tier what happens on that one. So the first one is the what was it? I had it on. I believe it was the strength, dexterity, then endurance. So.
To me, it's like, what happened exactly? Like,
Oh yeah. I mean, there's
like,
definitely.
did they get hit by a blunt weapon? Did they get shot? Did they get hit by? Were they burnt alive? And then we figure out, okay, if they don't want to narrate it, I'll say, okay, you just lost your arm from the elbow down.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I know Cypher.
And then for the rest of the game,
exacting.
they have to role play that they're missing. It's categorized. They're Luke Skywalker. They've lost their arm, so they're like, now they're using their left hand. Their dexterity's gone down. Something like that. But if we're depending on the tone of the game, if it's I hate to say it, but if it's going to be a game like Boxing Helen or something, where you're expected to lose body parts in this one-shot crazed universe, because everyone's like self what do they call it? What is it called when you install your own cybernetic parts without supervision?
Jury rigging?
You do self-mutilation, but you're upgrading yourself. Anyway, some kind of weird setting like that. Cyberpunk futuristic thing. You buy the parts and you go home and you saw off your own arms and legs and start figuring out how to make yourself cybernetic. If you're playing that kind of a game setting, I would let the players describe all their miscalculations and bleed out, passing out, before they get the limbs to boot or to pair to something, to your brain. Are you going to replace your heart without knowing if you're... There's no one in the basement doing this with you, so if your heart stops, how are you going to boot up your fake heart, kind of thing?
Everything suddenly goes black. Pretty much.
I'll let the players narrate that kind of stuff because it's part of their care gen, I guess. And then in the next session, they're now this cybernetic person, and they've had some training. They've read the instructions. They know how to work their artificial limbs. They're trying to dispose of their old body parts without the neighbors seeing, that kind of thing.
That's if you ever have a second session.
I mean, that's from the old Terminator movie when the guy says, "Hey, you got a dead cat." Yeah,
exactly.
You got a dead cat in there. He's like doing his own eyeball thing.
That was a thing that was coming up in my head when you were first talking about that. Terminator.
Yeah, that was a thing back when I played Car Wars and GURPS and all that nonsense. That's what we did. But now Traveler has those rules, so yay! Cybernetics for them.
In the case of the head injury, you could also say something like your character stumbles upstairs, because the head injuries are very dangerous and they are quite disorienting. They disorient you. So maybe you are almost stumbling up the stairs or the stone steps or whatever. So that's a way of challenging your ability to roleplay that character. What if it's another sort of situation? Maybe you are playing powered by...
I let players narrate if they're drunk and where they stumble and fall. I'm not going to control their character and say, you get drunk and you walk into traffic and you're hit by a bus. I don't do that to players. If they're drunk, I let them narrate what they're going through. It might be fun for them to roleplay a drunk. Who knows?
Yeah. But when we were talking about before about the role play, and this is exactly, you don't have to. It's not a class. It's not a profession or anything. This part here that he's talking about happens pure role play. It's your character. Your character is doing a thing because he's geared that way, or whatever. He's a commander. That's the way he talks. I'll be back. Just gotta patch myself up, kind of idea, right? Or whatever. Instead of going ow, 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 because you could play a guy doing that as well. Different, aspects of how a
Yeah,
character is.
is your character a veteran from wars and has seen shit in their lifetime, or they've just all they've ever done in their life is repair iPhones?
Yeah.
That's the only difficulties they've had in life is fixing the new iPhone.
Shall we continue?
By the Apocalypse role-playing game, and you are playing a detective scenario or adventure or whatever.
No,
And-
I've never played Apocalypse. Have you played Apocalypse role-playing?
Which one's that? Is that the Powered by Apocalypse?
Powered by
something?
Apocalypse.
I think so. I think I want to say I was in one of John Henry's games, and I think he was doing Powered by the Apocalypse.
I have
I don't remember the mechanic. I want to. Is that the one where the GM says, "Describe to me what that looks like"?
Very likely, because I have Dungeon World, but I've never really delved into it. So
Yeah, well, whatever the fantasy version of Dungeon World is, I think I played in a session of that once or twice. And I remember the GM saying, like, a critical success, he lets the player describe what that looks like. Describe, oh, you totally destroyed the guy with one blow. Now describe what that looks like to everybody. That's his way of getting the players in the spotlight. Maybe they'll remember the game session if they got to narrate how cool it was when they destroyed somebody with their own fists. Who knows?
And you are talking with a suspicious character. Maybe that character is just a witness. Maybe that character is a suspect. But you are investigating the disappearance of Mr. Gunn. Mr. Gunn has gone missing. And you are talking to Mr. Sus. So you are talking with Mr. Sus, and you make your roll during your social interaction. And now you have the right, because of the result, you can obtain 2 clues. Instead of
Your stuff.
breaking immersion.
You want a mechanic that has persuasion and corruption and deception. Did I say deception already? Anyway, you want those kinds of social skills in your game so you can do those kinds of things.
yeah.
Convince people, persuade people, lie to people, see if detect if someone's lying back at you or not. Without those skills, it's basically you're just rolling to see if your character randomly solves the riddles.
Now
but I'll leave clues out in the. If I say there's a cabinet drawer, I don't mention cabinet drawer just because I'm descriptive. It's probably something important, and a player says, "I'm gonna," I walk up to the cabinet drawer, open it, look inside, that kind of thing, and they find a clue.
Now,
But if they ignore my description, then they just walk past it. I'll have another clue somewhere else.
Now here's something to think about. It kind of like retrospective of what Abe's saying here. Now I lost my train of thought. I haven't even smoked. I haven't even smoked any drugs here, and I'm losing my train of thought.
He was rolling with another character to get answers from that character.
Oh yeah, and
Mr. Sauce.
Now
he's looking for Mr.
Now,
Gunn.
do you let the
Mr.
player
Sauce.
go ahead and say what he's going to say, and then kind of gauge his persuasion roll, and do a roll after that? Maybe give him a somewhat of a either
you
a
mean
boon
like the
or a
player,
boon or a
actor?
bane, depending on yeah.
the actor in the game session who wants to do the awesome motivational skills speech to everybody.
Well, it could be just simple. He's saying, "Well, my argument is this, and what we want to do is that. Will you comply?" And if he has something that sounds kind of reasonable, and the NPC kind of says, "Yeah, I could use this," perhaps.
Well, I'm a skill-based
would you-
guy, so It all comes down to how good is your character sheet and your die rolls.
So
That's what it comes
do their
down
die
to.
roll. Do you give them a
Now,
bane or a
if the player, the players are gonna want some boon and bane done, and they're gonna want a plus or a minus done to their roll. So we'll mention something like if they're talking on a mic on a PA system and the mic has that going on, there's going to be a -1 to their roll. If they're talking on a teleprompter and they don't have mass communication skills, they'll sound like Joe Biden when he talks, even with stuff written down in front of them. If they have high charisma or social standing of some sort, or intelligence or education, or they just remember things like Trump remembers things when he does his rallies. He doesn't need a prompt. He can be in front of, like he'll have hot girls standing behind him with MAGA hats, right? They're on the big giant screen in the stadium behind him. And they have fireworks going off. +2 to the die roll. It gets the audience going, yeah! Whatever the player in general is just kind of like narrating where he's standing, where the the podium thing is, how close he's to the mic, and he's saying, yeah. He can be like, Corbin Dallas. Yeah. Amazing. And he's got like an NPC nearby going, that's amazing, helping him with his role. Right. And then the player does his role, and we add some DMs and boons or whatever. It would be a boon if you have, Ruby Rod next to you screaming as the DJ, because it's a podcast they're doing. The audience listening on the radio, they don't know what Corbin Dallas even looks like.
That's true.
All they know is that he won. He's the winner of the Falston Paradise, whatever. And because Corbin Dallas, his character doesn't really say anything in that movie. He's basically us, the audience, and we see the movie through his eyes pretty much.
Yeah.
The everyone else is doing all the talking around him. He's just standing cool, like cool as a cucumber half the time in the movie. But at a table though, the players aren't. I don't want the players doing a lecture to the class. I don't want them doing a speech. I don't want them doing acting, because then when they roll, what if they fail? They look stupid because they did all this voice acting and prep, speech prep, and they read a script and it was awesome and heartwarming.
I do.
And then they roll and fail.
Because I want if the player is kind of meeting part of the demands of the character that they are debating or facing off against, I will consider that, but I do need that information in order for that to have some sort of substantial conclusion.
Yeah.
Between
like the player could say something like, my character gets up, stands at the podium, and he says his side of the debate, and he talks for, 5 minutes until he's buzzed to get off stage, or he's allowed 5 more minutes to give his side of the thing. That's a plus to his role. So the player's not really saying anything about what he's talking about.
Right.
He's just describing this shot, Stands up straight, looks directly in the camera, talks in the perfect language that these alien people understand because they're not human, and that's it. He didn't have to say what his speech is even about. He's just trying to convince them that your mothership is coming back and it's got the human virus on it. You're all going to be turned into humans. Is that okay with you or not? We'll shoot it down for you or let it land and take over your planet. Whatever whatever, some stupid thing. Just in a nutshell, in a sentence or two, what does the player want to convey to the audience, and what's the situation like? Is it well lit? Does he have makeup on? Does he have hot chicks standing next to him? What's the audience about? I'm the audience. I'm the NPC audience, so I'm like gonna rate their presentation.
Yeah.
And then they roll and see, and if they convince or not convince. If the audience goes boo, they all pull out blasters and start shooting.
Everybody ducks in behind the overturned
They're,
tables and everything.
they're welcoming the human overlords who are approaching. But see, the humans, they're what do they call it? They're hosts. They're parasites. There's parasites in the humans. They're not humans anymore, technically. But how do you explain that to an alien race who just thinks all humans look the same? No, these humans, they got a virus parasite puppet masters attached to the back of their heads. They're not like us. You know, that kind of. You're trying to give that kind of an argument to a race that doesn't know what violence is. You know, you got more trouble. It's hard to explain something to a race of people that have never seen war and wars coming to their world. That kind of thing.
Yeah. You come up with some pretty cool stuff there, Sean, off the fly.
Yeah, or it's raining. Maybe it's raining, and the alien race standing outdoors hates rain, so they're miserable. Like that one president guy, he did his inauguration, or was his inauguration speech. He stood outside for like 2 hours giving a speech in the rain, and he dies like a week later from pneumonia. Isn't that stupid? But his kid or grandkid was like one of the best presidents ever. So that's weird. He only got elected because his dad was president for like five minutes.
Yeah, I got that feeling with maybe Trudeau. Anyway.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure one of Trump's grandkids will, Barron Trump, he'll probably be president in like 2050 or something.
He's getting big, that guy.
I haven't seen him in years.
Yeah, he's growing up.
I just remember when he was 10.
Yeah, he's looking different now. That's for sure.
And talking to the game master directly, can my character find out if this character saw Mr. Gunn at the time of the disappearance, or instead of saying that, talk to the non-player character directly? You could say something like, "Excuse me, Mr. Sus, but did you see anything weird the day that Mr. Gunn disappeared? Anything out of the ordinary? Anything could help?" And the game master could say something like, Mr. Sus looks at you, and with a pleasant smile he says, "No, not at all, everything was quite normal." And that way the game master is communicating that he's telling the truth. But now you have the right for another answer. It is
now
because of the result.
A player can then do the old trick. I'm going to roll to see if he's lying to me, which I hate. I hate that. I want to flip the table when I see people doing that nonsense. No, after the NPC says everything's fine, nothing to worry about, that's when at session 0, you guys decide if you can do. Can we say what our characters are thinking? So at that moment, one of the players will say, "Well, my character is suspicious of this guy, and he's thinking this and that," and then the GM says, "Make a roll to see if you can tell if the guy's telling you the truth or not." Because you're not talking to the GM, you're just talking out loud into yourself, kind of a thing,
right.
Sharing what you're thinking. Now, some players don't like that, so we do a vote before we start a one shot. Are we allowed to say what's on our minds, or no? We have to hold it in, and just proceed.
I think pretty much my recent streams have been everybody kind of keeps it inside, and then at the end of the session. At the end of the session, we off the camera, we're just laughing and
off camera is off camera is when all this stuff erupts.
Yeah,
you've been holding,
and you hear, I was thinking this and that, blah blah blah, and then it's kind of a cool. I enjoy those moments. That's a huge.
That's the whole point of the game session to me.
Is to have that. Oh, that was so doing this and that. You just end up just blurting out all the things that you wanted to say.
Yeah, because you're in character the whole time pretty much, and you're like, you got stuff you want to. you have something important to say, but you're holding it in because it's not, players don't talk to the GM like that. He's
You
bringing
can
up some
obtain
good
Yeah.
things to think about here.
another truth. You could ask the character, the non-player character, Mr. Sus, did you know Mr. Gunn personally? Were you perhaps one of his friends? And then, because that character is forced to tell the truth because of the result of the roll of your social skill, maybe on your perception, perhaps, maybe the Mr. Sus says something like, "No, we were barely acquaintances." While Mr. Sus starts looking another way, in another direction, and blinks twice.
Yeah, or like the sweat running down the guy's, it
I'm gonna
was
say
just kind
I'm gonna say Mr. Sauce. I don't like sus. That's been a meme now on my trending YouTube what do they call it, recommendations. Someone's got a sus video going on now.
right.
Those 6-second shorts. I watched one, and now for like 2 weeks now I've been watching sus videos. So that's why I'm saying sauce. I'm trying to change the trend.
they all come up on your algorithm.
Oh yeah. Yep. I watched
And the
one.
Game Master,
They all have 300,000 views in 2 days, so they pile up on what to watch on YouTube.
The only one that I still have some Shauner videos I have to get rid of in my clique here. Remember?
Yeah, I still have to watch a bunch of other people's videos.
further
I got
communicates.
like on my tab here, I got 30 YouTube videos on my screen up here waiting for me to watch still. But they're long ass videos. They're like over an hour long, so it's gonna be a while.
Who's going to be your favorite coming up here? You got something that I can't wait to get to this one.
No, those I watch right away. No, these are mostly Guy,
Okay.
the Guy DM,
Guy.
and
Yeah.
the Lair DM guy,
Right.
and the a trans planner RPG one.
Oh yeah, I see. Yeah, somebody was doing.
I can't tell the titles are all squashed on these tabs, so I can't see. One is a Batman. I guess there's a Batman role playing game I'm supposed to watch.
I'm looking forward to that. Me, myself, and Die. Checking out that second part.
Yeah. I got some of his older videos on my watch list from like 3 months ago. He mostly does solo RPG. I'm starting to get recommendations to watch people's solo RPGs, but they're so boring because they're played like regular games.
Yeah, that kind of surprised me how Me, Myself, and Die, how he did his role play. I thought that was cool. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, neither was I, because I don't watch his solo roleplay stuff because he's trying to write a story
Right.
as he goes.
But
I'm not thinking about the story as I go. I'm just at the end of the session. Then you have your story.
But in a solo situation, you kind of have to think about where this is going. You have to have sort of idea.
You're playing all the characters. You're playing chess with yourself, so you kind of you got to take notes. As like, okay, how does the black player feel compared to the white player feel during this chess? Whatever. Is he going to do the castling in his next turn, or you're trying not to metagame, but you're trying to, I don't know.
Right.
You write it down, I guess, so you don't metagame. Then you look at your notes later, and then you roll dice as you make your journal notes. You're making a table that you're going to then roll on. Like if it's the gray area or the good side or the dark side, that's 3. So you roll a d3, which is what? D6 divided by 2. That way you're not interrupting your storyline with your subconscious. You let the dice at least determine something, I guess.
Right.
That's how
Yeah.
I would do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just hard to. I mean, he does a pretty good presentation for what it is. You know, he does it, but I can't watch the whole thing. You know,
Yeah.
myself.
Or if you're character driven, let's say you're doing a solo game, you got 4 players, which are all you. So basically, you have NPCs, no players at your table. The NPCs are just in character, and they're just role playing themselves in character. I could do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah. I mean, but there again, it's kind of like you're kind of
You're the GM also,
creating
though.
the story. You're coming up
Yeah.
with things, and then suddenly something clicks in your head, and you're going on a tangent suddenly. You know, with these characters, it starts to
It's just-
roll on.
Yeah, when you have players in the game, then you have an unknown
Exactly.
equation or unknown whatever. The players are going to throw things into the game that you didn't think of.
Exactly. Yeah.
In the game
Yeah,
master,
so how many
further
NPCs?
communicate.
How many NPCs do you normally have in a game session?
Oh, it depends. I have like right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 NPCs in my session right now.
The most I ever have is maybe 2 at a time.
But when it's like when it's scene to scene, it's usually maybe just 1, maybe 2. But they're all over the ship. They're kind of like all over the ship, and they're doing their own things, right? So
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, you want to have, you know, there's things going on, and the next thing you know, they're walking to the engine room, and somebody's building something here. What's going on? You know, it's I want those
With
sort
me-
of things to happen.
With me, I have 1 NPC, 2 NPC, or a cast of thousands. It's
Right.
one of those 3. The mob extra. They're the ones being blasted out of airlocks and hull breaches and stuff.
Yeah, they're fodder for that kind of thing. So you know,
Yeah.
I have them lined up for all kinds of awful things that may be happening in the near future.
It's obvious that Mr. Sus is not being entirely honest. So you see, that's the way that the rules play into the roleplay. They give you opportunities for further characterization or description of your character's interaction with the game world. And when it comes to roleplay, how it enhances the game aspect of a tabletop role-playing game, I think it's even easier to understand. Any action that you take during roleplay, maybe you are describing how your character is sneaking about, maybe you are describing how the character approaches that person in the party, maybe you are describing how you want to disable that device, maybe you are describing how your character draws his weapon and charges at the enemy. All of that is going to have some sort of repercussion or effect upon the game rules. Maybe you got discovered, the enemy spotted you while you were sneaking about. Now you need to think about how you can use your skills, powers, edges, abilities to escape that situation. Maybe even continue with the course of action. Maybe you have an invisibility spell. You are playing like a wizard thief. That's the right way of playing a wizard thief. You need to make a run for it. And as soon as you get the chance to hide somewhere, cast invisibility upon yourself. And now you can continue sneaking about. Maybe during a combat situation, the way that you describe your attacks. Maybe you say something like, I quickly advance towards my enemy. I try to cut him with a series of diagonal slashes, and then I back away immediately, ready to draw my rapier or my dagger. So that could give you provide you a bonus in combat. And you can also...
Once again, we were talking about this before. I know that my players will have ideas that they want to do this, and this, but I always try to keep it to like just the one action. I know you have a purpose for what you are doing, and but you keep that in mind. I'm as far as me as the game master to towards the player, I know you have this idea. Keep it going. We'll see where it goes, kind of idea. Make the roll, see what happens, right? One step at a time. You don't want, yeah, because you don't want to have too many things lined up in clique, and then the first thing fails, and then you're like, oh, why did I even? To me, it feels more like a, because my sessions are kind of timed to an hour and 30 minutes. I want to get as much as possible um, without wasting time on the maybes, because some of that stuff doesn't come up.
Yeah.
To further elaborate on the description of the result, maybe your attack was successful. The game master could say something like, you moved so fast that in less than a blink of an eye, the enemy now has a nasty gash across his shoulder. Or maybe you missed, and the game master could say, despite your lightning fast actions, the enemy parried the attack so fast, so quick, almost in a supernatural way. So all of that.
Now, I've never watched the DC movies, but I've seen other people on YouTube have posted this scene repeatedly, and that's the one with the Flash fighting Superman.
Okay, yeah.
Now, the Flash is supposed to be the fastest person ever, right? And the Flash is running towards Superman super fast. But he's running in slow motion, but you're, $6 million man, whatever. He's running, and he sees that Superman is watching him with his eyes. And then the Flash is making eye contact with Superman. Well, he's thinking he can just zip around behind Superman without him knowing. And Superman the whole time is just watching him. And then Superman just reaches out and grabs him by the neck or something and throws him. Or punches him really hard, faster than he can move.
Right.
That was a cool scene. That would be like the player saying, okay, my Flash character is going to run as fast as he can and zip behind Superman. That's his turn.
Yep.
He's not going to say what he's going to do after he gets behind Superman. He's just telling what he's doing right now. And then the guy, the GM's playing Superman. And the GM's thinking, okay, I'll just watch him with my eyeballs. Like, go ahead, that's what you're doing. And you notice right away Superman's watching you the whole time you're doing this. As he's strangling Wonder Woman. He was fighting with Wonder Woman, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
That was a cool scene.
Yeah. Action and what was I thinking? Action and a possible resolution with an outcome. I want to do the thing in order to do this, and then that's it. So, an action with some sort of plausible goal or resolution.
The rocket ship is. The engines have started. The rocket's just about to leave the launch pad, and that's when you want to throw your Doc Ock arms and grapple onto the rocket, and put your other Doc Ock arm on wrap it around something else. You want to hold the rocket from taking off.
Okay, roll.
But then you say, like, before you say the roll part, then I say something like, and then after I do that, I'm gonna hold the rocket ship, and then I'm going to unleash my nanobot army from my wrists, and they're gonna climb up the sides of the rocket ship and start tearing apart the metal until the rocket ship just falls into pieces and shards and burns up in the flaming pile on the launch pad. And then, at some point you have to stop the player and say, make a roll.
Yeah.
Has an effect.
Maybe they can't even grab onto the rocket in the first place.
Exactly. That's why I would say, roll at that point.
That's why you say, I'm going to attempt to grab this thing. Just say that much.
Yeah.
Instead of I grab it and I hold on to it. No, you don't. You don't know yet.
Attempt to. That is your action.
with the game rules. The game rules support the results or the consequences of the role play. In a social situation, I just gave you an example when it
That's
comes to
another thing. Here, stop,
Powered
stop.
by the Apocalypse.
That's another thing. When you're using a game system, it's just pass or fail nonsense. Do a save roll. I hate that. Roll under your strength to see if you succeed at that. No, you have to have a skill of some sort.
Yeah.
And then you have variations of success. So more cool things can happen than just pass or fail.
Yeah. A lot of times I will strip out a lot of the weird stuff out of some of the mechanics in order to make it more suitable for what I'm trying to present.
What's weird to you?
Well, exactly what you were saying there. I mean, you want to take out some of the stuff that really kind of. I want to take out stuff that slows down a lot of things, but I want to keep in some of the stuff that keeps it interesting.
Are you taking out rules that don't matter? Basically?
Yeah, the rules that don't matter
in the
right?
long run.
And
in the long run, it's not going to matter.
And then in certain cases, like I say, I'll take the number of that skill, and I'll gauge that because the character has 3 in his ability to pilot, and he's in a dogfight, and the character that he's up against, which is the NPC, has a 2 or maybe a 1, but it's going to be less, right? Who's going to win out of the deal? You could make it really sound interesting with the roles and stuff like that, but in the end, the pilot with the highest in most cases, unless it's like you're doing the strafe dog fighting and like there's like a head-to-head kind of thing, then I'll use some rolls. But if it's general, they're trying to overcome each other. Yeah, if you have the 3 and he has a 1, you're going to be like pretty much on his ass all the time, and you're going to have him in your sights, basically.
Yeah,
giving you the advantage in most cases, and I will portray it that way in the game.
Now, what if the NPC is just a nobody, like a peon? Would you just blow up their ship?
Well, as soon as he fires and he hits it, yeah, this is going to be basically.
Oh, okay.
And yeah,
what if the NPC is like somewhat known in that quadrant? Do you have the NPC send a video thing to the other players? Rats, you got me fair and square.
Well,
this is the last you will see of me again, I assure you. As his ship blows up. Something.
It certainly can be put in there. Yeah, if that's what I'm. That's the.
I mean, if he's a super villain, reoccurring character, of course he just transports away back to his mother's ship because he's tech level 15 or something.
Can happen that way, of course, but you never know. It could have been disintegrated in that entire,
yeah, you don't know. You don't know for sure if his DNA's on that asteroid he crashed into, or if he's back on the mothership to return back later.
I'm not going to let the players know. I'm going to let them gloat in their victory, and then all of a sudden
we got him.
The curtain unfolds a couple of episodes later, and I am back, kind of idea.
Yeah. You're playing Captain Adam or something.
You thought you could find me.
Yeah. The Flash Gordon stuff.
Yeah.
Traveler works perfect with Flash Gordon. So far, I like this video.
Yeah, he's got some good things to think about for sure. Let's just pull him back a little here.
I just gave you an example when it comes to Powered by the Apocalypse RPG, but the way that you talk, the topics that you bring about during a conversation. When it comes to the game side of a tabletop role-playing game, you can strategize or use tactics concerning taking advantage of the modifiers related to a particular specific edge in a conversation. Maybe you are quite knowledgeable in history. Maybe you are quite knowledgeable when it comes to gossip. Maybe you know a lot about science, magic, the arcane arts. You can steer the conversation towards those topics in order for you to ingratiate yourself or present yourself in a more
Uh, the ability of gossip. I could
Is he
imagine.
talking about is he talking about the player doing those things, or the character has that on their character sheet?
Probably the character sheet. Because yeah, if you got a quality in gossip and you start using that, well, you've been like essentially captured by your nemesis. Your nemesis could kind of turn around and say, you know, because he's being rather, this is rather amusing what you are talking about. I'm going to keep you alive for a few more days.
Use
Yeah, I
use the
enjoy this
Krause
chatter. You know.
use the Krause skill on the supervillain.
That's right.
I'm gonna carouse. I'm gonna carouse with him. I'm gonna.
Hey Doug, that's a fantastic mustache you have.
Yeah, I'm gonna say complimentary things to the bad guy. Gosh, this Death Star is really cool.
What's it take to pilot this thing?
How'd you make it? Gosh. The plans for this Death Station must be hard to read, huh?
yes, impressive way when it comes to your interaction or your talk with the non-player character that you are approaching. You're going to benefit from those modifiers, from those perhaps bonuses in those role-playing games where you made this role and you were successful. Now you have these perks or things that you can use in your interaction. They give you a bonus, they provide you with further answers, all of that. So in my opinion, I think that
pause it. Yeah, because I always say role play solves everything. I let the players narrate a bunch of crap before the roll's ever made. That way I can surmise the pluses and minuses in my head.
Oh yeah,
as they're role playing.
Yeah.
The better they describe what they're doing, the better chances they have at succeeding or failing. If a player is honest, they're going to role play the negative stuff too that's going on. They'll remind me, oh, it's raining. They're knee deep in blood. They can't see because they only have one eye.
I don't have one of my books here, but I have. You'll see on some of my books, I have little ticks going on my notes. That's me taking little ticks, little notes on. Okay, that's good. That's good. Nope. This is bad. This is bad, and I'm kind of gauging whether or not there's going to be an advantage or disadvantage, or give them a bonus or
what. Pluses and minuses, and the players know I'm doing this, and when they run a game, they know. They're trying not to grin when it's my turn narrating stuff, because I'll narrate stuff on purpose that will give me minuses. I just want. I don't like it when I succeed all the time.
I don't have my book here, but if you look back, if you guys who are watching, if you look back at maybe some of my GM diary videos where I show some of the notes, and you'll see like these little odd little ticks going off on some of that's me, taking like the little.
I remember those. Yeah, the what is it called when you give yourself enough rope to hang yourself? That's what I like when players are role playing that way, and I'm just thinking, oh, they're just let them hang themselves, because all of a sudden, they've role played themselves into a desperate situation now.
Yeah.
Which is fun, because if they succeed at it, then that's even more cool.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they'll still get to do the thing they want to do, maybe, but it's just going to take a longer way to do it. They have to take the long way, or the harder way to do it. It won't be a piece of cake.
When you play a tabletop role-playing game, it's all about that symbiotic relationship between the game aspect and the roleplay aspect. Even so, I would love to know,
I don't know about
your
that.
thoughts on this situation.
Well,
To me, they're still separate. They're
Yeah.
separate enough. It's like, but we're still in character. We're still role playing. I ask quickly. I basically say the difficulty. I let the players decide what skills and what attributes they're going to add to their role. I'll say, give me a. All I say is give me a 2D roll or a Bane roll or a Boon roll. That's all I say. And I either say how difficult it is or I don't give a difficulty. Let them figure it out.
In general,
And then they just roll. And for that brief instant, we're doing the mechanic. But we're still, after I hear the phrase marginal success, which is pretty quick, then we're still in character. And I already have a description in my head to blurt out for different results.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same, but at the same time, I do the little ticks, as they're doing the role play, as they're saying things, maybe they're appeasing to something, if they're talking to the enemy and they're coming up with some sort of ideas that I figure the enemy can use, to their advantage. I'll start, putting bonuses at one side or the other. So what they do in role play, I will influence it with the mechanics. So
Okay, what happens when a player comes up with something out of left field that is it's just so awesome you have to use it? Do you erase your ticks and start over again?
Sometimes it's so awesome it just has to happen. It's
or
just,
you don't even ask for a
just
roll.
It just got you may as well. The guy, sometimes I suppose sometimes you got to let those cool things happen, just for the sake of it. It encourages the other players to do the same, I think.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like a reward kind of thing. I can't be too, strict.
Well, the rules say here that you had your opportunity was lost, so we're going to go with option 7 in the rules here that says, everyone dies. I'm sorry it has to be this way. Everyone
fall.
make a survival roll.
Rocks fall. You're all dead.
Who has a helmet on? Okay, those people are alive for just a brief few seconds longer than everyone else.
You get to see everybody else do the.
Hooray! I'm for the other team. But yeah, you want your players to have those moments because that when it's their turn to GM, you want that to happen as a player in the game too.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the only cool GM at the table.
It was like when I was playing a character in a 3.5 game. It was like a D&D kind of game. And I was playing a character that came up with the idea. We were fighting this minotaur on this big platform. And I was playing a character that had like a 20 strength. Like he was just kind of
that's
a
pretty
monster. Good. And I wanted to go ahead and grab the minotaur and heave him up and throw him off the platform. While we were all fighting. Like it was like a massive battle. Like there was about 4 or 5 players, and there was the minotaur, and there was a couple other minions. But I was fighting against the minotaur at the time. But I wanted to grab him and try and lift him. The guy ended up letting me grab him, but it didn't occur as cool as I thought it would. So I did succeed.
The dungeon master was playing by the rules.
I succeeded, but I couldn't get. He wouldn't let me get the because I didn't voice to him that this was the plan. I just wanted to grab him first. And then that was my action kind of idea.
Oh,
so
the grapple rule.
The grapple. I wanted to heave him up so that I had the leverage, and I was going to go ahead and hurl him off the. That was my plan. But
I forget about that grapple. Grapple was about as bad as checking for traps or rolling for perception or
I mean, I would have loved it if I would have failed and gone down with him, kind of idea. That would have been a cool,
That's the
thing,
best option right there.
you know?
You always go down with the Minotaur biting into your neck and he pulls you with him. Ah,
That's a good death. That's a good death.
you spear him in the throat, and all he does is grab your hand as you're holding the spear and he pulls you with him. And his blood's coming out of his mouth and going in your face as you're going down. And you're trying to aim him at the ground first. You want to use him to break your fall. That's all you're focusing on.
Yeah.
That would be a different role.
Yeah, it's a you want to be able to do the cool things, but sometimes you got the game masters that are like way too.
Is that what you really want to do? Are you sure you want to do that?
It's all good, man.
Is that your final answer?
You're gonna die so well here.
You want to do a lifeline? You want to do a 50-50? What is that, weakest link or something?
Yeah.
Or Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
You want to do a, what's that one where they do the 30% check, or now that's the 50-50 one. You call your relative, or you have the audience do a guess of.
You can get somebody on the street. Yeah. Oh, that was Cash Cab is also kind of like that.
If D&D was played that way on YouTube and the people in chat could interfere with the game session, I don't think it would improve the game at all. I think it would be still terrible. Because it's a game show. Now you have more participants in the actual play when
let the players decide. That could be an interesting thing. You have everybody in chat, and instead of rolling the dice, you have everybody in chat go yay or nay. But you're gonna have favorites. People are gonna be favoring other players. And, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the Running Man or whatever that movie. It's gonna be that. Yeah. Or Rollerball. Jonathan.
Have you achieved such a balance when you play tabletop role-playing games? Do you think that you are lacking in some areas? Maybe you are not applying enough rules because you are somewhat hesitant if you will be able to apply them correctly. Or maybe, like I said, you are just starting to play tabletop role-playing games and you're having trouble figuring out how the roleplay descriptions, the narrations, the way that your character speaks has some sort of benefit when it comes to using rules, abilities, and powers. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for your likes and your comments.
Subscribe to Abe, talking about games. He's pretty awesome. He comes up with some great stuff every once in a while. I think we were talking about this before. There's various factors. You've got the game master, you got the different players, you got the game system, the die roll mechanics. All this stuff is like influencing the game in certain ways, and sometimes it's hard to get the perfect mix of different things together.
In a practice session we were in, I think Charles said something like, I'm gonna roll to do sensor check or something like that. Out of the blue, that was his turn. And I remember Condor DM, he went after me for that. He says, players don't roll during their turn. It was a practice session,
That's right.
Yeah, we were.
That was very.
We were doing a session 0 kind of a thing online.
Yeah, none of our stuff has ever been like let's do this thing. It's kind of like Sean ends up getting us into, and he says, "Let's do this," and then all of a sudden we're doing a thing, right? Or vice versa.
That's how I did the Google Plus Hangout.
It's like
I'd have like 4 people in a talking about role play, and all of a sudden I say, "Hey, you guys all have dice?" And we make characters really quick in like 5 minutes. We make traveler characters.
Well, that gives you enough time to like actually conjure up some sort of an idea and then play it out. Where
I got like I got a homebrew rule for making a traveler character in 5 minutes without the players having the rules in front of them. I just tell them what to do next, and then each one takes a turn telling me what their character is, what they ended up with, and then by the time the fourth player says what their character is, I've already got a setting, like a reason for why all these guys meet together,
Yeah.
and then play a 3-hour session. But that was when I had normies. Some guys could role play, some guys couldn't. So I never kept any of those videos because it's. I wish I kept them though, because then I can compare how I used to play compared to now.
Right.
But as a learning tool, nothing to learn. To me, that was old hat. It was like I've been there, done that kind of thing. That was the past.
I kind of wish Condor had kept it. Like I only seen the
his game
one
sessions
video.
were good.
Yeah, one video I seen was basically him role playing with this other gal, and I know solo ones
Him and his
are.
wife and somebody else. I can't remember who the other person was, but the other person never had their camera.
But that's they were what I seen was all right. I just wish he would have had some more. I mean, me and him have had we've had some clashes, but
Two snakes facing each other like this.
But I'm not gonna diss the guy, for doing his he can play, he can GM.
But he comes from a D&D point of view.
Yeah, exactly. I don't mind second edition, and which is why I like the Castles and Crusades. But when I got back into Castles and Crusades, the problem was the group that I got myself into. It was basically we're all board gaming, and it just seemed to be one of the players was very adamant that you play your character to be to be advantageous to everything that you have on your sheet, and if you're not playing it that way, then you shouldn't be playing, but I was playing my character, to be this, wizard with an 8 wisdom, and a wizard with an 8 wisdom may not always have,
It's the old guy from Willow.
It's the things happen.
He has the dove fly, and the dove goes the wrong direction. He's like, just go that, just go where,
just go that and that's how I was. I had the character sheet. That's how I'm playing, and the guy was just like flying off the lid. He was just like,
or the Wizard of Oz. He had charisma, apparently, sometimes, but his intelligence seemed to come and go. He was just this dude, They thought he was something. They thought he was the powerful, amazing Oz, and he's just some guy,
Exactly.
He was like the girl in Thunderdome. What's her name? Auntie something. The Tina
Right,
Turner.
Tina Turner.
Character. She was Auntie something.
Yeah.
She was just a waitress, right? Or a showgirl or something before the bombs, and then she found her place. She found her place in life, being the mommy for Bartertown.
Here we go.
But she had Master Blaster.
It's that was an interesting show altogether. They had some really weird characters in that one. Let's go over here into Roleplay. This realm here. Not sure if any. Oh yeah, you can see it on the.
Yeah, I see.
All right, so just this last little blurb here. I was telling you about L.
You got a wall of text.
Oh yeah.
He info dumped you.
It's always interesting when they have the wall of text.
It's like reading Wiki when talking with this guy. What has Wiki told L this time?
So he's saying acting. I mean, sure, I do a bit of the as a game master. I use the voices and stuff like that, right?
Are you an actor?
I can't help
You're
it.
acting.
I can't help it,
Oh,
Shauna.
you have Dr. Goldfoot in the Bikini Machine. Awesome film.
That wasn't making bikinis. That was making women in bikinis, not a bikini machine. Get it straight, Shauna.
Yeah, that Austin Powers stole ideas from that movie.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Just the same as I steal ideas from Outer
So
Limits.
in the video, you were talking about role playing, and he says, "No, you mean acting."
Acting. I mean, it's when it comes down to it, like all of us. Sorry, like RPG is dumb. You, me, Sean Cherry, everybody that we associate with, we do have a common ground. We do have a common overlap, and we don't always 100% agree with everything that each other say. But at least we can have a conversation.
We agree 80% of the time
Yeah.
instead of only 5% of the time.
That's right. I'm sure I may say something that might spur you onto an idea. Hey, maybe I should try, maybe a series instead of a one shot or something like that. I've heard you ask me questions about it, about trying to do that. And, I always pick your brain every once in a while about how to set up things and about the session zero and stuff like that. I mean, we all have, all these ideas, and we can ask each other.
Everyone has an idea of what session zero is supposed to be. And now I found out last week there's a session -1.
-1? Oh my gosh.
Session -1. Now, I didn't have a name for that, but Black Lodge Games came up with it. So now that's a cool idea. I never had a name for that.
Session -1 is what? Just I can't remember because I came in kind of late on that.
That's when you're at work and you come up with this cool idea 5 minutes before you get to leave.
Right. Okay.
And you're in the break room and you're trying to keep a train of thought going as you're walking out to the parking lot to your car, and there's 12 feet of snow on top of your car, and you're like, oh. I'm not going home. I'm not going home today. So you're gonna sleep in the store somewhere. Then you have perfect time to be on your phone and you start texting everybody. Hey, I got this cool idea for a game. I'm gonna bounce some ideas off your heads. What do you think of this idea for a game? That's session -1 for me.
-1. So, yeah, I just had it.
Session 0 is when everyone's making their character.
Right. Yeah. So session -1, I just had session -1. I had an idea. Everybody's going to be playing Hunters and Hunter the Reckoning. And it's going to veer into, Vampire, the Masquerade kind of idea. And then I started bouncing some ideas off of my buddies here. And I can understand that. So.
Before COVID, I used to get those emails. I got this idea for a game. I didn't know what to call it except we need to have a meeting about this.
Right. Gotcha.
And we would cram it into our session 0 on the StreamYard. And then between session 0 and the first session, that's when we would make our characters. We would show up with our characters because I hate doing characters with players. I want to do alone time when I'm making my characters.
Yeah.
I don't want to be listening to them rolling dice while they're making their characters. I don't do the connections thing in Traveler that you're supposed to do. Apparently,
no.
I mean, I figured out on the spot when they all show up with their backstories.
Yeah, I don't think I've had anybody. I've had characters connected to NPCs basically. Space is big, so.
Your ex-wife is hunting you down, you say? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll make sure she shows up in this session at some point. I've been waiting for you, Roger. and she shows up, she's cyborg. You know, he hasn't talked to her in years because of time dilation or instead of going into cryogenics to freeze herself to wait for her ex-husband to show up, she just went full on cyborg where she's just immortal with the senile brain inside the metal skull.
I know you. You're my son,
Yeah,
aren't you?
Half her face is metal, that kind of thing.
Well,
Like a RoboCop eating Gerber's baby food with synthetic bot juice. I don't know. Nanobot vitamins.
and then the nanny bot shows up to go, okay, Babel, time to go to bed. Drags her off.
Yeah.
So
He's trying to get a restraining order on her. That stuff comes up when you first 10 minutes of the game session. At least in my head. I might use it later. It'll come up when they watch the they fire up the hollow screens or whatever in their little quarters, and they're going through their past whatever emails, and this little snippet shows up.
And you as the game master, you're conjuring up all this as it's occurring. Yeah.
I think it up on the fly.
I get those bouts too. I'm like, oh, this is cool, and then I'm as they're doing whatever they're doing, they're conversing with each other. Sometimes I find that's really relaxing because then I can go ahead and kind of ponder some notes and write some things down.
And if they think of something better for their connections when they start this session, then I just erase whatever it is I was thinking. We'll just go with what they had.
So yeah, he's saying here, so the term role playing, 2 words, blah blah blah. Yeah, okay, who cares? It's wiki stuff.
Class is a role. Your role is a class. Yada yada yada. Boring.
So yeah, he says here, you choose to role play as always speaking as your character and no out of character talk. That is fine. And one definition of role playing, but not the only one intended, designed by the game. So he's going by what the
Oh yeah, he's doing the RPG. He's doing the RPG elite thing. Let's look at the dictionary to see what it says about role playing, shall we?
He says, but
you're looking for the role play definition that you want to find.
But you, Rick, I am Rick. I'm Rick. Does he not know that I'm Rick? Okay.
You are the Rick.
I gotta go ahead and change my name to Rick.
Oh, Rick.
Rick, Shawner, RPG is dumb, Big Bad RPG Elite, all think you're a minority opinion. Yeah, we have a minority opinion. It is a minority opinion. And
it's called the 1%ers, basically, kind of.
Is universal and that everybody must agree to, or they are wrong. I'm fine with everybody playing however the way they want. I don't mind using minis for skirmishes and stuff like that. If I'm playing skirmish games, if I'm playing Snapshot, which is a traveler version of, shoot 'em up in a scenario kind of idea. I'm okay with doing that. But if I'm gonna make a role playing game, like do the role playing game, I want it to be without the minis and stuff like that. I've said that many times.
I am perfectly fine with going after people that say they role play, and then I find out they're not role playing, that they're just doing a game show on their channel. Yeah, it's fair game. I go after them. I tear them a new one.
Yeah, I can totally understand.
I have no problem.
Yeah.
Now, if they say they role play and they are role playing, then I do a shout out for their channel. And I say, hey, look at this. Someone's role playing.
That's right. It's kind of like
how bizarre.
Me, myself, and Die. We see that there's more people that actually do this thing.
Yeah, I did a shout out to them.
And saying we're all getting pushback. That's why you're all getting pushback. I'm not getting any pushback.
This what's going on now, 6 months after COVID, I'm starting to see like a return to role play after what 8 or 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. People are coming out. People have been huddled in their homes doing Zoom meetings for 2 years. So they're used to this internet thing again and the latest technologies, and they're hooking up with each other now because everyone's got cameras and mics now. They just do. So the natural thing is to hook up with old players, catch up, see what role playing's like for them after we're freaking 25 years almost in the 21st century. We shouldn't be playing like 1979 anymore. That shouldn't be a thing. In my opinion.
Do you
In my
still
minority opinion.
do you still have face-to-face sessions? Like, around the table? No?
No.
I do.
No,
I still have
the stores I go to, they still wear masks.
Okay.
Because they're run by Democrats. I don't go anywhere that people are wearing masks.
We
They're
don't
crazy people.
We don't
I
have
don't
that
want crazy
anymore.
people at my table. Once in a blue moon, okay, like 3 months ago, I did go to a game store and did a practice traveler session. Just a practice mechanic for like 40 minutes to an hour at a table with normies.
Right.
That was fun.
There was we did have kind of your situation a while back when this was all first happening, and then things were just starting to open up, and Strange Ideas was saying, yeah, if you are to come into play, you have to be immunized. You have to have the jab. Of course, I don't have the jab, so I couldn't actually show up to anything that was there. But since now, it's that has all been kind of like abolished, and everybody's allowed to come in and play and stuff like that. So, which is good. I mean, I could understand he was scared, that he could get shut down, kind of idea. Because there was a lot of.
Oh yeah, in California they shut you down in a heartbeat.
So I could understand why he had to go ahead and conform to it. But yeah, it's what it was.
Now it's the point where game stores are closing because of the bums trying to break in these stores and steal Pokemon cards and Magic cards and stuff.
Yeah, you guys have some real crazy.
There's no police. There's no police anymore. So
yeah,
the game stores are getting burnt to the ground because they're in terrible neighborhoods now.
Yeah, we don't really have that at all. I mean, sure, we got crackheads and stuff like that in our city, but it's
California emptied their prisons. So except for the guys on death row, they're still in prison.
It's kind of like what they did back in BC, like in the province next to me. That's where I originally came from. That got kind of weird. So, but they don't have that up here because you usually don't see much of the bumps. Like you'll see the occasional meth head and stuff like that, but a lot of them are working still. So you have the meth heads that are driving trucks and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
it's
here,
bizarre.
Around here, some of them are trying to they're doing the DoorDash and the Grubhub.
Oh yeah,
the food things. They're picking up the McDonald's food for you.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that's
KFC.
That's a good way for them to traffic their own merchandise too. That way.
Yeah, and then there's like in Los Angeles, you can't even see the sidewalks because they're covered with people's sleeping bags and tents and crap and shopping carts.
You can't
walk in downtown LA anymore.
Yeah, we're way too cold for that. So during the winter, it's like they're all hibernating, or they went south or something like that. Those that are still messed up but still functioning for work, they'll still try to work. But it's just way too cold up here for you to be a vagrant. So
if there's like a football game or something going on, the police always clear out the area so that the rich people can come to the games and watch without the bums blocking traffic, walking around naked in the parking lots. So many naked people now just walking around, high as a kite.
And the pushback that he's talking about. Like, sure, there's people opinionated and everything on either side. For me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if people can play the way they want, but I'll just keep on doing what I'm doing. You know?
Yeah, L is part of the hive mind. You know, shut up and have fun at the table. That kind of nonsense. Do your job. Do your part. Roll the d20.
Okay. So he says neither of those are role playing, like rolling the dice, which are modern players and games do that. I make a perception check instead of ask, what do I see in the room? Or I look around in the room. The first is role playing. The second and third are both role playing a role. Which class playing? We're class playing class. I suppose. I come back to him. I say, well, there's no class in Traveler.
Or the Mastering Dungeon Master book that Gary Gygax wrote, he says basically that you're playing a role, defined by your class.
Yeah.
He never says role play.
In Traveler, I feel that your role, in role play, it's a lot more than just your occupation. It's a combination of how you would react in certain things. You wouldn't react exactly like I say, exactly the way that you would in person, because guaranteed, if you were seeing some sort of alien thing coming at you, you would either be, blazing off all your rounds in order to kill the bastard because it's scaring the bejeezers out of you. You're not, or you are going to be running the opposite way and trying to get away from it as quickly as possible, because seeing something so bizarre and weird and all that stuff, it just, your sanity would just go out the window for that moment. If it was me, I'm being honest. If it was me, sure, I'll fight somebody, but or whatever. But in most cases, every kind of person that's out there would probably run away than face it, kind of idea, right? Because you would rather survive, you would rather avoid this confrontation than face it head on, like a heroic kind of person would, or a character in this kind of genre where you're playing, the heroes that are trying to do the thing in order to make good triumph or whatever it is. You're playing something totally different than what you are as a person. So,
and in later editions of Traveler, you're using a skill-based system.
Yeah. So in the skill-based,
so what if you're not trained in something, you still get to try it.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have as good of a chance of succeeding. That's part of role play.
Exactly. So, I see it as a combination of like the makeup of the character, as in like his mind, his ideas, what he wants to do in the future, his goals,
the goals and things.
Yeah. And sure, he's got the professions which gave him the skills, but he can still learn more skills, and all that stuff. It defines certain aspects of him, but it doesn't define the whole of the character. And what I like to see is that character being played out with these different aspects that are separate from what the player, like as the player instead of this character, the player would be. Because if you have a player that's scared of spiders, stuff like that, and you're playing in a game where there are spiders, which actually happened in my game. Josh is definitely afraid of spiders, but he's playing a character that's bashing them and lighting them on fire and all that stuff.
lighting him on fire.
Yeah. Well, it was
There's a name for that,
actually
right? An acroid
it was accident. It was
pyro.
by accident that
Okay,
he lit
pyro acrid, what acrophobic pyromania.
pyromania. Kill it in the fire. But I like to see players get out of their own heads and become the character and try to do like learn the skills to role play that out, and I think that's really cool.
Well, in your campaigns, do you notice the players changing their characters slightly over time?
Oh, sure, yes. I mean that's gonna happen to anybody in when it comes down to it. They are
It's
slowly
like
going
what
to.
what at the like at the beginning of the campaign, the guy's, I don't know, he's got two ex-wives and he's not interested in romantic relationships with anything, and then he meets a girl like maybe 5 sessions later, an NPC who's remotely interesting all of a sudden,
Sure.
and then all of a sudden he's thinking, you know what, I think I'm going to stay behind and live out my days with this fine woman on this mining colony asteroid something. Goodbye, guys. I'm not going to Utopia with you. Like, what?
That's all fine. That's all fine.
I've chosen to stay. Like this, like an old Star Trek show or something.
I mean, if the
So then you make a new character. Then you get to
For sure.
you retire that character and you make a new character. Or she gets murdered. If I'm the referee, she gets murdered and the guy can't stay there. The asteroid thing's going to blow up. It's set for self-destruction or whatever. And then the player's forced to hang out with these other guys still.
Yeah.
He's moping around. He's role-playing that he's moping around because his
and you can
his
have
latest
his
girlfriend was.
Yeah, you can have his original group come back eventually. You know, they end up going back to the asteroid where they left him, and they discover, I'm kind of down on the luck. The wife took me for all my money and all the, took half the house, and left me with the kids. He's got two sprawling brats.
I'll do one shots, so not much happens that much with the character.
Exactly. You don't have to encounter that.
If we decide, if we vote on it, let's do this again with the same characters for the next one shot, then we have another show episode thing. 3 is my max though, because I get bored of the same characters after a while. I want to try something different because I do too much in a one shot, so I'm like burned out, or I run out of ideas.
Yeah, I mean,
I've done all the things I've wanted to do with my character. I want to make a new character so I can try different things.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on the players if they want to continue and stuff. I mean, it's very easy for me to just say, okay, well, this is it for these guys. We'll lay them to kind of rest for now, and we'll continue on with some new guys, and, another ship or something like that.
I mean, sometimes just going to a different planet is like a different setting.
Oh, for sure.
New things to do.
More people to exploit and exterminate.
Yeah.
So L says here, he replies, sure. He said, there's no class. I say, no, there's no actual class in travel. He said, sure there is. You roll for a job or profession during character creation. But that's...
He doesn't know what skill-based is, or he's pretending he doesn't.
So the way that works, your profession is only a 4-year term or even less, depending on what happens. And there could be a turnaround, but it's just a background building is what it is, and you're just kind of like getting your past set so that you can, once you stop creating that character, you can therefore start playing the game. And this idea that you have to play your profession, like I say, if you were to meet me, and we're talking about me in real life, and meet me on the street and see me wearing my my Carhartt jacket my silver jeans and all that stuff, you would look at me and go, okay, what does this guy do? You wouldn't know that I had been
Silver jeans?
silver jeans.
Silver jeans? Like spaceman clothes?
Silver. You've never heard of silver?
Like metallic jeans?
No, silver. Yeah, I'm wearing
Silver color?
Silver jeans. Let me see. They kind of got a unique kind of style design. They kind of got that kind of these
I
little
call
kind of
that
pockets and stuff like that.
I call that
They're like designer. They're designer jeans.
Pre-washed denim. Stone-washed denim.
Like you would see me on the street, and pretty much everybody else would be kind of wearing kind of the same thing up here, because we're all working and doing oil stuff, right?
Yeah.
So everybody has there's money going around. But if you were to meet me, you would say you would look at me and go, okay, what does this guy do for a living? You would have to ask me, because you wouldn't know just by seeing me, what I would do, what I do. Where in a D&D situation, you would look at the party, you would know what a wizard looks like, what a cleric looks like, and you say, oh, that guy's the thief and that guy's the fighter, right?
Yeah, when you look at characters from Serenity, Firefly or whatever, and you're asked, okay, what does this character do? You're like, I can't tell.
I mean, you can get some gist. You can kind of look at what the brother,
which one's the captain?
He's got some sort of, because he's always kind of wearing that kind of a smock kind of outfit.
He's better dressed.
Maybe he's a doctor. Maybe he's a psychologist or something. You're not going to be able to kind of pinpoint who I am unless you approach me and ask me. And I think that's the same way with travelers, because you come from a background of all kinds of weird skills. I don't know. I would look at other people around my town, Grand Prairie here, and I wouldn't know whether or not they had a background in military, if they served in the Canadian Army or something like that. I would have no idea unless I seen maybe they had a tattoo or something on them, or something like that.
Around here, they wear their hats to let people know they were a veteran of some sort.
Yeah, so it's
Or
not
they have a flag in their yard all year long.
Yeah. There's but as far as meeting them on the street, you would unless they had that hat or the beret or whatever it is.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah.
They're just dressed like anyone else.
It's
except
not.
for the hat.
Yeah, it's not until you get into what they're
No
doing
one's in
to
a
get
uniform.
Yeah, I mean, they'll have skills and stuff like that.
Hey, fireman! It's the fireman guy. He's always dressed up as fireman.
You would know that I had skills until I started picking up a guitar and started playing it, or it's not something I carry around with me all the time, right?
Oh yeah, it's the guy with the guitar all the time. He's the bard. Is that a?
I'm a bard.
Is that a lute? Is that a lute?
It's a baritone lute. It's to go along with my deep voice.
Oh, yeah, L needs to put videos on his channel instead of
He does. If he wants to explain, it's so hard to read walls of text. Go ahead and make a video.
L has a video on his channel that's not like kitty porn. I hate kitty porn. Here's a 9-year-old video of my cat chasing yarn. It got 30 views in 9 years. I hate that stuff.
Yeah, so I just say, it's
I'll have to
true.
look. I'll have to look at his channel and see if he has videos. I'm guessing he doesn't.
I don't think he does. Can
Can I get to his channel?
And
there's
the other
El's.
guys,
There you go.
no videos. Surprise.
What is it? What is it? Lepidoptera?
Yeah, that's his name in the forums and crap that he does. Pointless. He's nobody.
Nothing.
Yep. He just shows up.
He should put up some videos.
If it is a he, it could be a he, she. Who knows?
Explain yourself. Explain yourself. Nothing better than words, spoken from your mouth.
Now, maybe he has a horrible deformity, like most of these guys do. That's their excuse. I can't be seen on camera. I have a hideous deformation.
Yeah. I'm missing
Yeah,
a
whatever.
tooth. I'm missing a tooth.
Or their mic is terrible. Or I don't have a computer. Some loser on a phone. Whatever. Phoning in their nonsense.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
I'm more harsh. I'm more harsh than you. That's for sure.
I know you are. I'm trying. I tried to be the nice guy.
I'm older than you.
You by months.
But
by months.
I'm just tired of Democrats. There's too many of them. They're ruining all the nice things we have. They see someone having nicer things, they want to tear it down. That's what they do.
Yeah,
they don't create anything. They just tear down.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird people like that just want to
and
destroy stuff.
They side with the weirdos every time.
So
that's why they're called Democrats. I don't know what they're called in your neck of the woods, but in America, they're called Democrats.
They're liberals up here. So up here we have conservatives, we have liberals, and there's kind of an in-between party called NDP, and NDP has kind of sided with the liberals. Otherwise, what would have happened was the conservatives would have won the last couple of elections if it wasn't for the NDP. So it's kind of like
over here we have two things. We have Democrats and Americans. That's it. The Democrats are the communists, and then you have the Americans. You have something called the Republicans. They're also communists. They just side with the Democrats every time. So there's really just one party in this country, the Communist Party. And then you have the Americans who just want to live their lives, be left alone by government.
Yeah, that's pretty much what the conservatives are kind of around here. But yeah, most people get labeled conservatives because they kind of don't agree with what's going on with the Liberal Party. So, but they're just regular people that really don't have any affiliation, except that what is going on in Canadian politics right now with the Liberal Party is just bad, and it's just causing us so many problems. Everything costs way too much now, and it's starting to come to a head. It's starting to get there.
Oh yeah.
But we do have
increased. Yeah, Democrats will vote for more crime and higher cost of living every time. There's a reason to vote on it. They love that stuff.
But,
they don't like cops, and they don't mind paying more money. They tax the corporations, which is basically increase your cost of living because corporations don't pay taxes. They just
pass it down
add
to
it
you.
to the price. They add it to the price of whatever it is they're selling.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's not hurting Carhartt. It's not hurting, Helly Hansen. It's not hurting all these other companies.
Yeah, down here we got Apple and Google and the other IBM, not IBM anymore, but whatever. The Tesla gets fed up and moves out of California. So Texas has that one city called Giga City. Giga City has SpaceX and Tesla and Boring and the other thing, and all of Elon Musk's companies are in Texas in that one city.
Yeah,
Texans are kind of getting fed up because all of a sudden houses are going up in price because everyone wants to live there.
Right. Yeah. You're gonna have that. It kind of occurred up here as well. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of Ukrainians up here now. I've had to brush up on my Ukrainian. So.
Oh yeah, I've seen some I don't know if they're staying or if they're just passing through.
But these guys
guys
up here are actually working. They're coming in, buying work clothing and stuff like that. And I'm like, hey, я не знаю, you know. And they're like,
When the Russians moved when the Russians moved here back in the 90s, they all went back to Russia. They couldn't take it. They weren't used to freedom. They wanted to be told what they're supposed to do.
that kind of occurred with a cousin of mine that came over right when Russia had once the wall had fallen. We had one of our relatives come over, and it was really weird because it was almost like she was really sketched out about this whole thing, about what was going on. It was almost like the way she was acting was, I can't trust these people. There's something going on here. That's the kind of gist.
Which people?
Like us, you know, there's something wrong here. Because she's used to being kind of in that society, and then coming over here, it's just like it's just a shock. So we ended up giving her a bunch of stuff, and she went over back to Russia, and she sold it all, of course. But I could understand why, because appliances and stuff don't work exactly the same over there. They have to rewire everything, and I mean, she had to do what she came over and visited us, but yeah, she was very sketched about everything. Like she was kind of like she didn't understand this idea of how much freedom we can go do these things, and we can just go to a store and pick up what we wanted. Where she was, it was kind of like for many years you can't get stuff because nothing's on the shelves. And you had money, but nothing's on the shelves. You
wait in line, and you're lucky if you get a new pair of shoes or not that day.
You end up having like a stipend of you get this, and this in a rationed form, and that was it.
Little stamp book or something,
exactly.
Or a whole punch book.
It's weird. So I can understand, how sketched out she would be, but I kind of take all these experiences that I've seen other people have. And I like to kind of use that in the role-playing games as well.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Because it's fun to kind of emulate that in certain ways, which makes it seem more real in a weird kind of way.
Yeah, when I worked for Russians, and the Russians owned their own satellite company, GPS stuff and GSM and all that kind of stuff. And I got a lot of weird ideas for Traveler just working there. Just the stuff I saw going on in their laboratories.
Oh, for sure.
And that was when Python was just starting to become a thing.
Oh, Sean. Here, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Which do you think is more? What do you think is more expensive? This book?
Hang on. What's the title of that one?
Or this book? This one is Second Inquisition, Vampire.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay,
but,
so this is like a supplement book.
Is it color or black and white inside?
It's full color.
Oh, full color. Okay.
Full color.
Does it have a ribbon?
Yes, it has a ribbon.
And for the nerds out there, does it have a proper index in the back? The Traveler
all
people.
All these questions.
The Traveler players go batshit crazy when they find out there's no index in Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition.
I confirm there is an index.
Okay, see, to me that's wasted pages. I don't use indexes.
Now, Book of Nod.
The black book. Is it just hardcover or is it leather?
It's hardcover. Okay. Inside.
Black and white.
Okay, it's got a kind of a chrome like
chrome
Bible pages, where it has
my Call of Cthulhu books have that stuff. Yeah, gets on your fingers.
Shiny,
I hate it.
Shiny. Okay, inside. Let's see if I can get this proper. So black and white,
Yeah.
black and white. Okay.
Yeah.
Which one's the more expensive book? Side by side. And of course,
Oh,
it's
I don't
much,
know.
much
I'm gonna
smaller.
say I guess that one because it
Oh.
has the silver pages. It's got embossed on the front,
So
right?
yeah. So for this one is like $59 Canadian. This one is 66. I thought that it was going to be like this size when I was like, I've been I feel
Inflation.
I feel a little
Inflation.
yeah. I mean, sure.
I say people. I've been telling people at work, buy your game books now while you can. You know, Walmart has good prices on stuff since that D&D movie's been out. It'll go on clearance. You can buy D&D books, 5e books or whatever, for dirt cheap once they go on clearance.
Yeah, that's why I'm buying all the books that I kind of interested in. I'm picking up now before they go crazy insane.
Yeah, I'm telling people to just buy D&D 5e and just get the core book. Don't worry about all those weird splat books. Learn how to role play. Play however you want. Watch YouTube videos. See what style of games you like from what players you see in the whatever. Don't be spending money on coffee table books you're not going to play, because everyone's eventually going to play D&D. If they go to a game store, that's all they're going to play. I don't want people buying a game and they say, no one plays this Blade Runner game, or no one plays this Alien RPG, no one plays Conan Medifia. They spend how much money for those books now? Coriolis, $69 or whatever for a book.
Yeah.
And you can't find anyone to play it. Like, good grief. You need a YouTube channel if you want to find players.
That's
And you
that's true.
you need to talk about games that people can get or buy.
Yeah, because even in our story, like you've seen the selection that's there on my video, and it's kind of rare to see a Modifius book come along. Yeah, I mean they do have the Star Trek one there, 'cause obviously that's going to be more popular than any of the other kind of tropes. I haven't seen a Conan yet. I haven't seen the Conan book, and
I think they're out of print, the Conan books.
oh yeah, okay. But
Because I looked on their website and it wasn't even listed. But they could have updated it since then. There's Modifius has a US printer, publisher, whatever. So you buy from somewhere in New Jersey instead of from the UK.
yeah, we
To save on that VAT tax thing.
we have the same thing up here in Canada. You can get the Modifius stuff, which is how I got all the Infinity role playing games.
Like the Traveler books. When I was buying Traveler books, they would come from Tennessee.
Oh yeah,
because I forgot the name of the company. It's printed on the back of the Mongoose books. That company is making all the prints, so they can just have a truck drive it over here.
A fair number of my books here are actually printed in Canada. So, nice.
I think it's called Studio 2. I think they're the ones that do the printing. The Numenera, do you still see that in game stores? And the Strange?
I've seen there was a couple of supplements in there, but he hasn't had the he hasn't got the like the case, the what is it called,
the shelves,
box the box set kind of thing, whatever they call it.
Oh, they have a box set of it.
Yeah, it's slipcase. Yeah, the slipcase version.
They enhance the new version, revised.
Yeah,
that's
the one. It's called. That's the one you want.
I forgot they had a new version.
So they've never had that one. They've had the original one in that store, but and they've also had dice, which I've actually purchased from that store, the Numenera dice. And what else? Yeah, that is about it. Nobody nobody except for maybe me in this town plays Numenera and Spencer. So I have Spencer. I have Spencer hooked on it. He loves it. He thought his last adventure was so out there, and his character was like sprouting an arm in the middle of his chest and all kinds of weird shit. It was awesome, but his character was a guy that liked grafting stuff to him, right? So this was up his alley, and I was just pulling cards and coming up with all kinds of weird things, and it was quite the story at the end. It was
animator.
just whoa. Yeah. Well, that's that's the way his character was. So. But he enjoyed it. He thought that was a great thing. He's all into doing that again. And I've kind of put some sites out on a couple of players out there on vampires, because that's something else that people are more interested in. A lot of girls out there want to play the vampires, like you were saying. Vampire kind of stuff is the gals seem to come.
Oh yeah, girls have always liked vampire stuff.
So, and
what's the other one they like? What is it?
Yahtzee.
No, a role-playing game. Call of Cthulhu. They like Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah. So
they like suspense.
So I have both of those. I have yet to get my wife interested. She doesn't understand role playing games. She's a board gamer. She'll play.
You do have Call of Cthulhu, right?
I do. I have I have Call of Cthulhu. I've got the double slipcase. I have the monstrous whatever it's called with the secondary book in there.
Yeah.
With the gods and everything in it. And that's pretty much about it.
Don't show that book. Don't show that book to her. It might turn her off.
Oh no.
You demon worshiper.
Oh, I find
Planet X.
I have it for my own kind of descriptions to kind of give out, but that's about it. Because when I
show her Agatha Christie, Search of the Nile type stuff, and don't mention the tentacle monster in the background that makes people go crazy.
Well, she's played the Arkham Horror that I have up there, so she knows what it's all about. So she's she like I said, she's more of a board gamer. So I can get her into a game of Arkham Horror and all that stuff. She loves Eldritch Horror. That one is a good one. I haven't gotten her into the card game version yet. I do have a card game version. And the new Arkham Horror I do also have with the third edition. But we haven't played that one yet. We haven't had everybody together since the COVID thing. So lately it's been, playing a lot of King of Tokyo, Lords of Waterdeep, that sort of stuff. My kids get into that too. I have some older kids that are like in their 30s, so they come over, or we go over to their place because they have the little ones. So my grandkids, and we just play board games. We come up with I just like, okay, we're gonna play this or this, and I just bring them over, and we're like, okay, we haven't played this one for a while. And we just get into it, so we have a good time. My daughter will play Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. She's big, like my eldest. She's in her 30s. She loves she was into Baldur's Gate, the computer game, and she would play that for hours and hours. And when she left our home and moved in with her boyfriend, who's now her husband, she went ahead and took my Baldur's Gate collection. You had all the discs.
When did that game? I never got into that game. When was that? Like in the early 90s or mid 90s?
Yeah, it must have been like No, it would have to be the late 90s. They were still doing the SSI stuff in the mid 90s. So yeah, it was late 90s when they started.
Was it the same time as EverQuest? Would you say?
It's close, I would say. Yeah. But no.
Because World of Warcraft hadn't been invented yet.
No. And
I was playing Ultima Online back in '97.
And Dave in my group, who wasn't who had left our group for a little while. If you recall him, he used to have the picture of him in his mask for what was it? He does airsoft, so he has like this crazy airsoft mask. You'll see him in like the early videos that I had of us playing Traveler. He was actually part of Black Isle Studio, him and his brother Larry. And Larry apparently was the guy who made all the chickens that you can kick around on Baldur's
Oh, okay.
Gate. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I seem to remember that guy in your games.
So yeah, they were both. We were a group of guys that were back in Vernon. There was a bunch of us that were really kind of artistically, geared. So I was doing like comic book kind of stuff. So I was doing like the Marvel kind of kind of aspect. Seeing characters in perspective and stuff like that. I drew a lot of that kind of stuff. When we had our villains and vigilantes games, I was like drawing pictures of all the characters and stuff like that, and everybody was like coming to me to draw out these like elaborate poster size things of their own character. So we would do a lot of that kind of thing. And I just my parents weren't, they didn't want me to get into art school or anything. So it was kind of a struggle for me to. I had to basically just go out and work basically, and Larry and Dave ended up heading off to do things. Chris Salmon is another guy. He is with the Silverfish Studio. They're doing the Neil Gaiman The Price, kind of like a mini featurette video kind of thing from Neil Gaiman. The guy that did he's basically the story. He's the author of Caroline and a bunch of other weird kind of mystical kind of weird stories from back in the 90s. I don't know. You ever see Caroline, the mother with the button eyes sewn into her head? It's kind of like all the characters are like these puppets. It's really weird.
Sounds familiar.
So he's got his own thing going on, and he's in Utah though now because he's a Mormon. So.
Yeah, when I was in college doing computer programming, a lot of the guys in my classes, they went off to work for big game studios, writing for the Apple II computer.
Cool.
I don't know what they do now.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of cool. Go to store, buy a game, and I see my friend's name.
Yeah.
Game lead, or game designer, something, project lead designer.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's good. You kind of feel good for them and everything. I really, I see my friends, they got into the various places. That's cool. I kind of did my own thing.
I got into the military side of computers. But I didn't know math, so I couldn't really do the game stuff. You got to know graphics to do the games.
Well,
if you weren't that guy who did Doom,
right?
What was his name? The id guy.
Karak.
Yeah, that guy. If you weren't him, then you were nobody.
Right.
You had to do his level of game design.
Yeah.
Karnak.
Is it? Yeah, Karnak.
I think that's his name. Yeah. But he did Doom and Quake.
Yeah. And then there was that Duke Nukem. I was into Duke Nukem. That was the best at the time. Now you look at it and you're like, what? Sprites. You move around, the sprites kind of move with you.
Yeah. That's freaky. I still have games that happens in.
That was my first experience of playing a LAN party was Duke Nukem with a bunch of guys. and you had the headset on, and you hear those rockets go past you. It's just like, whoa, it was crazy. That was
My first LAN parties were, I want to say, Command and Conquer and Red Alert.
You were into the RTS style.
The RTS, yeah, it was RTSs. I didn't really know the games, but I'd put the computers together or upgrade my friends' computers for them so they can be in a LAN party in someone's garage, all on the same hub, no internet. Just everyone would. This was a thing. You would take your big old Sony Trinitron 28-inch monitor, your big old tower computer, and your keyboard and everything. You'd haul it into someone's garage. And you'd have a massive amount of folding tables set up, and a lot of daisy chain power strips, octopus style.
Yeah.
Thinking, we're gonna blow the circuit breaker of the garage with all these computers on.
Yeah.
That was when it was safe. The neighborhood was safe, and you could have a LAN party till like 3 a.m, and the garage door would be open all night, screaming and yelling. No one cared. You can't leave your garage door open more than 2 minutes now in this neighborhood. Someone's going to come in and burn your place down.
Yes, this is a different world we live in now.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's getting late. So, Shauner, this has been a slice. We haven't yacked like this in a long time. So it's cool. And
my work schedule is all crazy, so it's a rare chance to do this.
Mine's crazy too. Alrighty. I guess we'll go ahead and enter here. Let's throw it. I gotta show you this. This is brand new. I got the new Stream Deck.
It has more buttons.
I gave Spencer my it's got way more buttons now. But I gave Spencer my old one. I said, "Here, you're trying to stream now. There you go. You got yourself. How many subs does he have? Maybe like 10, 15 now. So, which is good.
I don't know. I subbed him.
Yeah, he was like, Shauner went ahead and subbed me. That's awesome.
He's got a thing now where it's like notify me when the stream begins.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'll have to see if he ever streamed or not, or if it's
I'll have to take
tomorrow.
a look too, for sure.
But it kind of showed up before I joined this stream that he was gonna do something.
Okay, everybody, it's once again, subscribe if you feel like subscribing, all that other stuff. Thanks again, Sean.
No problem.
Talk to you later.